Steve Holland joins us this morning. He is a former member of the Mississippi House of Representatives, longtime Politico, one of our state's great characters, and now a character in a documentary of sorts on Netflix. Steve, good morning. Thanks so much for your time.
Good morning, Richard, and good morning, Mississippi.
I got to be honest with you. I watched the trailer for the Kings of Tupelo last night. Alex sent it to me, and I watched it, and then I watched it a second time. My wife was standing by. She goes, "What is that?" My daughter was in the room, and she goes, "What are you watching, Daddy?" And I was like, "I don't know, honestly." So tell me, we can start with like the elevator pitch. The Kings of Tupelo, what is this?
Well, I was approached about 2.5 years ago, I guess it's been now, by Jack Curtis, who is the brother of Kevin Curtis, one of the lead stars in the documentary series, and to talk to two guys who he had come to meet, and they were Chappie and Mac Way, who have their own production company in Hollywood. Both guys are Kurt Russell's nephews. The actor Kurt Russell is in Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And I served 36 years in the legislature. I've given 500 to 1,000 interviews, and I said, "Okay, come on. I'm at the funeral home. Come on by and see me. We'll start talking." Well, honestly, I thought it was going to be about a 1-hour interview, and by the time this series was published today, its premiere on Netflix, I probably did 85 to 90 hours of filming with this crew, and I just fell in love with the crew. They had never been to Mississippi. It was about a 9-member crew. Not one of them had ever been in the state of Mississippi. And they left after spending approximately 2 years here, totally in love with Mississippi and Mississippians. So it is a wild and crazy story. And the interesting commentary about all of it is it's a freaking true story. I mean, it happened. It could only happen in Mississippi. So I've not seen anything more than you have, Richard, the trailer. I have a group coming to my farm tonight, and we're going to have a watch party. And I feel pretty good about it. I got my first call this morning from none other than Mrs. Brandon Presley, Caitlin, and she and Brandon watched it sometime in the night, last night, since midnight, and said it was sensational. So I don't know. I mean, I had fun doing it. We'll see how it turns out. I hope it's positive for Mississippi. It's true.
There are a lot of directions, including kind of what the background of the story is that I want to go. But I always kind of latch on to the somebody visits Mississippi for the first time. And you being a de facto tour guide for Hollywood types coming to Mississippi with probably some preconceived notion, only to have that notion completely blown out of the water. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for some of that.
Well, it was an interesting first meeting that we had. I'm great friends with Jack Curtis. I don't know his brother, Paul Kevin, very well at all. But I was pretty nonchalant about it. As I said, I've done thousands of interviews, and I think the film crew was scared to death. And we just automatically linked up, if you will, or as we country folks up here in North Mississippi say, I took to them and they took to me. And from there, I guided them to all the cast of characters and set up probably half to 3/4 of their interviews. Was glad to do it. I thought they were honorable people, and I hope I think that tonight after about 9 o'clock. I think I will. I like them a whole lot, but it's a saga that Hollywood, quite frankly, could not write. They could not do it. It's just not out there. I don't care how much peyote they smoke.
All right, so on the Wikipedia page, and everything's true on Wikipedia, for the Kings of Tupelo, a Southern crime saga. Here's how it describes the premise of this documentary.
Okay.
The Kings of Tupelo is a crime drama series that weaves together a complex narrative involving a small-town feud, internet conspiracy, Elvis impersonation, black market organ trafficking, and a presidential assassination attempt, all set against the backdrop of a jaw-dropping scandal in Mississippi.
I'd say that's reasonably accurate.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I first came into the thing about 20, maybe even as many as 25 years ago now. I'm not sure about my timetable. I'm getting on up in senior status. But I got a call at the Capitol. I was sitting in my office, and the guy just basically didn't tell me who he was. When I answered, I said, Steve Holland. He said, you can just go and plead guilty. I've got circumstantial evidence that you are colluding with the North Mississippi Medical Center selling body parts. And I took just about a 2-second deep breath, and I said, sir, I was really honored about a year ago when I got through legislation the first mental health hospital outside of the Jackson Meridian area since 1888. It's called the Steve Holland North Mississippi State Hospital, and they're saving me a corner room. By God, I'd be glad to yield it to you today. And I hung up, and I never heard from him.
Circumstantial evidence that you were involved in a scandal selling body parts from North Mississippi Medical Center.
The guy, Mr. Curtis, had worked as in the custodial department at the hospital, and I don't know the rest of the details. Maybe the movie plays them out. I hope it does, because I'm going to learn a lot from watching the movie myself. I know what part I had in it. I think I know what part I had in it. I don't know. I don't remember that well, but it's going to be interesting to see how he came to that conclusion with me when he did not know me. I mean, I've been a Southern undertaker in Lee County for 51 years, and that's the last thing I'd do, sell body parts, you know? I mean, it's just...
It doesn't feel like you'd have to go to the hospital for him if you were going to go down that road.
That was his whole conspiracy theory, that for some reason I was working with the hospital in my capacity as well as with their capacity. All I can figure out is he ambled into the morgue and maybe saw some body part, which, you know, there are amputations and those body parts are incinerated afterwards. It could have been something of that nature. I do not know. But anyway, he went into it and he dug a deep hole with it. And he's talked about it. And as far as I know, he's still talking about it. And that's been 20 to 25 years ago.
So the people that are behind the Kings of Tupelo are the same folks that were behind Tiger King, which was a
McLean and Mac Way, W-A-Y.
Okay.
Very professional.
There are a lot of people that watched that, but most people kind of gawked at it, right? And my 14-year-old daughter asked last night when I mentioned I was watching that trailer, she goes, is this going to make Mississippi look bad?
Yeah, well, I hope not. That's what I've had the jitters about. I mean, when you have a story that is real, not contrived or conceived, but real, actual people involved with court documents and arrest records and letters and emails and so forth, it's a real story. And so I trust that these producers, who become my good friends, will not make Mississippi look bad, but then by the same token, they're documenting something that really happened. So I don't think just because of the experience they had in Mississippi that it will be in a bad light at all.
Why is it, Steve, that people fall in love with our state the way they do when they visit?
Well, because our people are used to suffering, and I think because of that, I've long held this theory. We had such a beleaguered past all the way from almost statehood on. It's a state filled with very colorful characters and very colorful stories. And all of us, if we go back far enough in time, rose from poverty, if you will, if we were lucky enough to rise from poverty. And it has given Mississippians, in my opinion, some kind of almost magical characteristic that resonates from that impoverished state to the point that now they're integral parts of society, yet they've got enough of the historical background that just simply makes us characters.
Mm.
And that's my theory on the thing. It may be way off base, but I've held it most of my life, quite frankly. I'm a very avid, voracious reader, and I have...
Hey, you got time to hang through the break and visit for a few more minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk a little bit more. Steve Holland, former representative in the state of Mississippi and a large role in the documentary on Netflix, The Kings of Tupelo. We got more coming up with you right after this. This is the Gallo Radio Show on SuperTalk Mississippi. Excuse me, back with you. This is the Gallo Radio Show on SuperTalk Mississippi. Steve, I got to share with you on the C-Spire text line. You can be part of the conversation, 601-879-4395. We have these messages. Should interview Holland once a week. Love listening to him opined. Steve Holland should be a weekly guest. And then every Mississippi town has a local character. Steve Holland is Mississippi's local character.
Wow.
Hear, hear. I'm in for all that.
Wow.
I think those were all meant to be complimentary.
Well, I hope so. I've had a daring life. I've led a daring, adventurous life, going on 70 years now, and I just don't let anybody steal my happiness. And I'm blessed to be a child of my late mother and father. My dad was a rambling man who had a good time, and you talking about a character. Oh, my God. He was a character of extraordinary proportions. And my mother was just the queen bee of Mississippi. I mean, she held public office 51 years, had a list of first that broke the glass ceiling across the landscape for women. She was the first woman public school bus driver in the state, had the first integrated 4-H club in 1962 in Mississippi before civil rights movement. First woman mayor in Lee County, first woman justice court judge, first woman to win Outstanding Farm Woman of America. So I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And, of course, my mother's also central in this thing.
Yeah.
She went to her great reward 4 years ago. But
wasn't she one of the ones that received a Ricin letter?
A Ricin letter, just as Obama and Senator Wicker did. The only difference is my sweet country mother received her own mail, opened it, and as I was told, I was not there, took a sniff of it, and the clerk came in and said, "Judge, what you doing?" Said, "Well, somebody sent me a letter with some kind of powder in it." Said, "I did what any good country woman would do. I gave it the smell test, and it smelled like you-know-what to me." So,
it's just tossed it out.
And brushed it off. And it was international news for at least a week to 10 days. I mean, just was literally.
How concerning was that when that happened? Because that was considered to be a death threat to the president.
I was sitting here running my funeral home, and the sheriff called me, and he said, "I'm not sure. Your mother has been sent ricin and possibly has ingested." And I went, "Oh my God, where is she and how is she?" That's my concern. And he said, "Well, we're awaiting the FBI to pick her up. They're going to take her to an undisclosed location just to make sure she's okay and to protect her, from whoever this assailant is." And I said, "Well, good luck. Mother's been away from home maybe 10 times in 80. I think she's 83 when this happened. Or no, she wouldn't have been that. She would have been 80 exactly." So, I said, "They'll bring her back pretty soon."
How long was she gone?
Well, she was gone a night, and then most of the next day, and came home about dark the following day. But she wound up in Oxford, and I got a call from the FBI. It said, "We're at Baptist Hospital, and we just want your mother to have some tests just to make sure she's okay." Said she won't get out of the car. I said, "Let me tell you something, guys. My mother hadn't been to a doctor in 50-plus years. She don't go to doctors. She treats herself. She's a homiletic medicine woman, and it's worked for her beautifully. And she's not going to go in that hospital unless y'all handcuff her and drag her in there." Well, the day went on. Finally, about 2:30 or 3, I think, that afternoon, after about the third or fourth call, I said, "Look, you guys are real smart, but if you just need Mother's blood, I think she'd be glad to give her blood. Tell the phlebotomist to come out to the damn car and take her blood, and you can be on the way and bring Mother back to me, because we live on the farm together." So, it was Mother, I don't think, ever realized the importance and the significance of what this could have been had later the FBI told me lacked one substance to keep from being perfectly deadly.
Wow.
So the mixture apparently wasn't what it should have been.
Yeah. Tell me about the day you introduced the bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, it was sort of a spoof, and I got every Hispanic in the state of Mississippi on my case until they realized what I was doing, and then they saluted me, and everybody else got on my case. But I never did fear getting on my case. I did that strictly for fun because of all of the immigration crap that was going on, and I'm an American first and foremost, and I'm for renewed immigration policies, and I wish our new president the absolute best on that. But I just thought it was just a spoof, just to see, to be silly a little bit, to break the process up, because you got to have a court jester in everybody like the legislature. If you don't.
Now, did you introduce the bill with a completely straight face?
Well, I went downstairs like I did on all bills I introduced in 36 years and got the lawyers to draw it up. And yes, I did it with a straight face. I mean,
I just want to make sure you were able to carry out the ruse all the way through.
Oh yeah, until a point, until the phone. I mean, like, oh my God, I was getting phone calls from Al Jazeera, every international network in the world. I went, I may have this trick may backfire on me. And then I started giving interviews, and it subsided pretty quick. But yeah, up until that time, I kept a pretty straight face about it.
That is fantastic. Visiting with Steve Holland, served in the legislature in Mississippi from 1985 until 2020, representing the 16th district. And are we classifying this as now you're a movie star, a documentary star, an online?
Well,
how are you classifying this?
Let me tell you what I am. I am a retired public servant. I am still neck deep involved in my community here in Tupelo and Lee County. Gonna be till I can't. I serve almost 500 families a year at my funeral home. And so that's my primary function in life. Now, I consider it a ministry in every sort of the way. And I just, I'm a Southern undertaker who owns a little farm and loves it and reads books and basically works in my community, both in a paid capacity as well as a volunteer capacity. And I'm just about completely satisfied. I got 6 grandchildren now, and life is pretty good up here on the Sadie J farm.
I can imagine so. The documentary is called The Kings of Tupelo, and it's out now, right? I mean, if I go to Netflix,
I think it came out midnight because I've already gotten a call about it that somebody's seen it all the way through. So,
all 3 episodes released at once?
Yes.
All right. So, is this going to be a marathon screening at the farm tonight?
Yes. We're going to watch all 3 episodes.
What's the setup? You just got one TV, or we got a big screen sound system? How are we gonna do this?
A 60-inch TV, and I restored a 110-year-old church and had it moved to the farm next to our family cemetery that's been there a good long day, and we have all kinds of social events. We decommissioned it immediately, and we have about 15 to 20 weddings a year. All of the Holland family's funerals are held there. We've had book reviews, book signings, authors, lecturers, churches. I think 3 churches have started from that location. It's just a fun little venue. It smells like an old church, and I love that. And I found pews that were significant to the age of the church. And so it just looks like it was made there. And it's a little rural event center, if you will, that brings a lot of people together for a lot of things. And then every Sunday night, there's a faithful group of about 20 from all stripes and genres that get together. And we have potluck, whatever, have a little dark water, and we make music in that church every Sunday night. And we've done that for years and years and years. So it's become a pretty popular gathering place, and I'm glad to use that as the venue for the watch party.
Any chance of dark water tonight while the Kings of Tupelo is screening for the first time?
There, I never have had an occasion to one dark water. Maybe at my mother's funeral, and
but shortly thereafter.
Shortly thereafter, yes.
Steve, I appreciate your time this morning. I hope we can do it again soon.
My regards to my great friend Paul Gallo.
Thank you for doing that. Certainly we'll pass that along. Steve Holland joining us on the Gallo Radio Show on this Wednesday morning. Midnight last night is when it came out. The Kings of Tupelo, a Southern crime saga. I'm going to read this to you one more time in case you missed it a second ago. You're like, what the heck are you talking about? Netflix documentary. Premise. The Kings of Tupelo is a crime drama series that weaves together a complex narrative involving a small-town feud, internet conspiracy, Elvis impersonation, black market organ trafficking, and a presidential assassination attempt, all set against the backdrop of a jaw-dropping scandal in Mississippi. This is the Gallo Radio Show. That was Steve Holland. We'll be right back.
The speed limit substantially on